Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, so back to the hooker talk.
You're right. Let's get back to that because I don't want to deal with this election anymore.
No, let's talk about hookers. So this guy went to the zoo, Hunter. I know you weren't here last week.
The zoo killer, yeah.
Yeah.
I know all about him.
And he killed hookers.
Yeah.
And
He's my
everyone
uncle.
was so upset that I just didn't care.
Is it because the hookers were looking for money?
Hunter, welcome back.
Welcome back, buddy.
And welcome to a very special Beacon House episode.
He's not my uncle, by the way. That was obscene.
Yes, indeed. Guys, this is so listen, Beacon House Election Survival Guide episode. We're recording this pre-election, so it's important you guys understand. We have no idea who won.
Tulsi.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, we have no idea.
Tulsi won.
If only. But we hope that whatever happened, that you're okay, and that you're not too sad about the results of the election or gloating. Hopefully that.
Be respectful of everybody and recognize that you don't need to have a meltdown like you guys did last time, and just endure 4 years of it and then vote again. That's how it works. Or
we're going to break that down a little bit, but we felt like, and again, we don't want to spend a whole lot of time on politics. This whole year has been so stupid, but because of we would be doing our fans a disservice if we didn't at least address the craziest election of our lifetime in the craziest year of our lifetime on this week's episode. So, by the way, I want to say thanks before we move too much further. Thanks to everybody that listened during Halloween. We had an insane number of streams, record streams in October. And
I saw the recordings, the horror sounds or whatever. That episode had like a lot of people.
A lot of people talking about that one. And the Frightworks episode, I think, is still our biggest one ever. But thanks so much for participating. October was a blast for us, man. And like, thanks for coming together during the pandemic, which could have been potentially a crappy October. And just thanks to everybody who listens and who commented, who had texted us, said, hey, that thing you guys are talking about, blah, blah, blah. We really appreciate it. And now moving ahead to whatever the hell happened 2 days ago. We don't know yet. So we're going to go into the future of the...
I just can't believe that he won.
I want to talk about today.
Yeah, Casey, tell us what you got here.
I went to Cedar Springs today. It was my first time.
And he means Cedar Springs Church, Presbyterian Church.
Yes. Cedar Springs Presbyterian Church. I went to go see the new pastor, James Forsyth, which, by the way, me and Hunter and Savannah and Libby have been studying in our Bible study on Mondays. He is
incredible.
Okay.
Like, Spencer, he brings, the first sermon he did was Hebrews, and he brought space into it. He talked about the planets.
Right.
It was awesome. But today, he did a political sermon. He talked about politics, and right up front, he goes, "This is not partisan." He goes, I'm not going to tell you who I voted for. He goes, like, and I'm also, during this sermon, not going to tell you or make you feel bad for who you voted for. He was like, this is what I feel like. He goes, I have 7 to-do lists on the election week, 7 points of the to-do list on the election week. So I'm going to read those 7 points for you real quick.
Now, are these pre or post-election? Is this supposed to be going into
this is both.
Both. Just handling that's okay.
Handling the election week to-do list.
Good. Let's hear it.
Number 1 is don't underestimate the government. And then he gave us some like things on like how, people our age don't trust the government at all. We don't think the government has a handle on anything. And then number 2 was don't overestimate.
To be fair, people my age feel that way too.
Well,
I'm one of them.
I put us all in that group.
Yeah.
And I've got a story after this about that, but go on.
Number 2 is don't overestimate the government. He was like, don't give the government too much credit, And number 3 was vote your conscience. And he goes, don't let anybody. And he even said, he goes, abstain from voting. That's fine. Vote your conscience.
Did you say Epstein?
Epstein.
I'm kidding.
Spencer.
Abstain from voting.
Abstain.
Right.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Which I found it very interesting that he was up there. It's just like, if you don't want to vote, that's also fine. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Number 4 was be holy. So no matter who wins, be holy. Number 5 was pray like it makes a difference.
Yeah, that's big.
Number 6 was help heal our community. So no matter who wins, all the fighting, be out there. Don't be part of the fighting in the discourse.
I think that's huge.
And then
that's kind of the spirit of this. I hope that somebody gets that out of this episode because it's no matter who won, no matter what happened, the divisiveness is killing us more than anything. You know, like everybody's got to become neighbors again. And I'm hoping that maybe shed a little light on it. Go on, Case.
And the last one was fix your eyes on Jesus.
Yep.
Which was just like after you vote. And then for the vote your conscience, I forgot to put this one on vote your conscience. He said, vote on your conscience, like vote for what you feel like you should vote for. But then he goes, then just let it go. Be free. Don't dwell on it. If you didn't win, that's fine. If you did win, don't gloat. Just be free and, you know, continue to do your thing. But my favorite one, which is Savannah just reminded me of, was one of the big points he made was don't demonize the other side. He goes, if your side wins, that's fine. Like whoever you want to vote for. He was like, but we're a community, we're a flock. Don't demonize just because somebody else wants to vote differently than you.
Yeah.
Sure.
I love hearing it. That was said.
That's big
great.
to hear that in a church too, because most of the churches do feel that you should vote a certain way. Most because of issues, and it's not that it's because of things like abortion. Yeah, you're not going to find many religious organizations that support pro-choice, and so they urge their.
Well, and I don't think he even from the get-go was very open and bipartisan, accepting everyone and anyone's beliefs, and didn't share his personal beliefs, and was just like, we're all here on this earth temporarily. This is not our home. So
that was actually going to be a question I was going to kind of pose to you, is that now that you have explored some religious theology and some concepts that are like you've got a Bible now and you've gone to services. I was going to ask if you felt like that now you were influenced to vote a certain way, like to vote against abortion, to vote in favor of like expansion of the church, to vote for money being funded to churches instead of funded to Planned Parenthood. And like, do you feel any inclination to that at all?
No.
Okay.
No, I feel like my journey is my own,
yeah.
And it doesn't influence that. I'm going to go on and just say that it's pretty typical that this year I didn't feel like voting for a lesser of two evils again. Sure. People can be mad at me all they want, but I feel like the concept of voting for a lesser evil is a terrible thing to do because you're still voting evil in.
Yep.
So
that's exactly how I feel about it.
When I go, if I go, I'm going to do right in.
And I know a lot of people that felt that way too.
That's what I did this year. I wrote in.
And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you did that, you let Trump win or what have you. Or if you did that, you let Biden win.
That's not true. That's not true.
As we discussed before, I
can tell you right now, unless one of them wins by just one vote,
not true.
You can fuck right off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, voting with your conscience. That's where the power lies in voting.
But listen, guys, pull up a chair. Pull up a chair. Pull up a fire.
Oh, not us.
Get some marshmallows. I'm going to spin a yarn for you here.
Okay.
I can't have that
because
many marshmallows.
Oh yeah, don't you eat the marshmallows?
Okay.
You just get like a piece of bark or something. Fucking whatever you eat.
Here's your glucose tablets. Put that on a stick and roast it over the fire.
Yeah, somebody go get some fucking marshmallows for glucose sensitivity. Anyway, listen.
What does a sugar-free marshmallow look like?
Just a bag of
I'd imagine it looks a lot like Hunter. So listen.
So it's a gas leak?
I want to get this. I've been sitting on this for weeks, okay? And I really want to get this out. So
hemorrhoids?
We talked about, luckily
hot
no.
marbles?
Luckily no.
That's right. Okay, good. Sorry.
We've kind of covered, like, you know, if you're hopefully you made your decision on what to vote for or whether to vote or not or whatever based on some, like what Casey said. And but we realize most of you are hearing this post-election, and depending on how it washed out or what the media is telling you today or what you've been seeing on TV and Facebook and God knows where for like the last 2 days,
you can choose to get off Facebook, by the way.
You could have a variety of feelings about how the election washed out. I mean, I honestly don't. I have no prediction right now, so I'm literally have no idea which way it's going to go.
Same.
A lot of sources say both things, and so anyway, I'm here to tell you something. And I know that I've led politically charged discussions on this podcast.
What?
Because I wanted people. I'm kind of a conspiracy theorist. You guys know this, and I just think it's dangerous for anybody to trust people that are in power over them too much, because they always abuse it. It's never not happened. But I have a little story about that. So I kind of want you to know, before you look across the yard to your neighbor, and your neighbor who has maybe voted differently than you, has a different sign hanging out in front of their yard about who they're supposed to vote for, who's going to save the world and who's the devil, and who won and now who's gloating or who's mad at that person. Before you go into your community, and you said something about community.
Mm-hmm. Help heal our community.
Help heal our community. And I'm going to give you a little story to maybe aid in that. Before you decide that this election really mattered that much, I want to ask you guys something, okay? Have you ever heard of a thing called the Cobra effect?
No.
I'm going to tell you what it is right now. So,
Not the terrorist organization.
no, not
Also,
not the people G.I. Joe fights.
Okay.
But those are bad news too.
What about the Karate Kid?
Not Cobra Kai.
Oh, okay.
This is sadly much more depressing than that.
Oh, no.
So,
Okay.
Anyway, so wind, like I said, get comfortable. This is kind of a long story. I'm gonna try not to take any longer than I have to. So wind back to like into the summer. I started having some problems with my air conditioner at home. A relay went out. We didn't know what it was, and I called my trusty air conditioner repairman, the guy that owns Freer Heating and Air. By the way, I recommend Freer Heating and Air for anything. The guy's amazing. Rick Freer has been a friend of mine for a long time. The older guy, he's about 60. And he has a very particular way of looking at things. And every time he comes to fix or refill or whatever, we have a long talk. And I always learn a lot from this guy. It usually happens about once a year. He has to come over and recharge the air conditioner or something. So anyway, Rick comes in, and we're talking about what a crazy year it is, the pandemic. I haven't seen him in a year. So coronavirus, the election, all this stuff.
And you said this was the end of summer?
Near August. It was near August. We had this guy. So the guy's literally sprawled out in my kitchen on the floor with his hand in the wall, searching for this relay that's causing the air, whatever. And we're talking. I'm kind of standing there, leaning up against the stove, and we're having this conversation about how crazy the election is and how crazy it's making people. More importantly, how crazy it makes people. Because we've had tons of elections in this country. But this year, we got really bent out of shape over it. And anyway, Rick says to me, Spencer, have you ever heard of the Cobra effect? I said, no, what's that? What are you talking about? I think he's about to tell me a joke because he tells a lot of jokes. He says, this is a true story. And I just want everybody to consider these things before you get pumped up or butthurt about the election outcome. Here's a story a friend of mine told me. Let's go back about 180 years. The British ruled colonial India. Okay, and this is like, I've got the actual numbers because I know somebody's going to fact check this and they're going to be all up my ass. I got the numbers here. 1858 to 1947.
Okay.
Colonial India. The British were in control. They ruled colonial India. And they had a big problem with, you guessed it, cobras. A lot of cobras in India. And they're very poisonous and they're bad news to have around. They make it hard to get shit done. So
I didn't know pagans were in India. That's weird.
Probably. But so the people said, hey, you got to help us do something about these cobras. They went to the British government. You got to help us fix the cobra problem. And the British government said, well, we don't really want to, whatever. So what they did is they said, well, how can we get the people to just handle it? And they put a bounty on dead cobras. Bring us a cobra, we'll cut you a check. So people started showing up. They figured out ways to kill the cobras. Turns out they were capable all along. That's that's kind of the hidden lining to this story. But they start killing cobras, bringing them in. British government's writing them checks. The problem's starting to go away. And then all of a sudden, they start coming in multitudes. The lines extending all the way down the street. People holding these dead cobras to get money for them. And they do a little investigating. They come to find out cobra farms have opened all across India. And now people are raising cobras just to kill them and stand in line and get money for them. So at which point the government shuts the program down and they go, screw that. All of a sudden the value of a cobra is zero. So guess what they did? They release all the cobras back out into the wild. Now they've got 3 times as many cobras as they started with. And the government's out all that money that they put into the program. And the people are no better off than they were. So that's now referred to, that's a famous historical scenario that is now referred to as the Cobra effect. And I'll give you some more examples of this, okay? Basically, the problem got way worse. Nobody worked together to fix it. The government didn't fix anything, and the people took advantage of the situation. This happens always. And here's the next. It also happened in Vietnam with rats. They tried to get people to bring in rats on a bounty like that, and instead they just raised rats. They did whatever they could to get more rats.
It happened, right now it's Nazis.
Dude, it happened in Georgia with feral hogs. And the scariest one in the industrial segment, people that were trying to preserve the environment started issuing what they called carbon credits to factories that were producing, all this pollution any amount of the pollution they could destroy and turn it like away from being greenhouse gas, they would give them these carbon credits that they could trade and would get them big money. That's supposed to reduce emissions and make the world a safer place.
I bet that's what got Flint with a bunch of lead water.
I don't know that has anything to do with Flint, but I will tell you this. Part of the credit comes from all of the pollution they produce and what percentage of it they destroy. So what do you think all the factories did? They produced
more
10 times more pollution to get more credits for the tiny little bit that they destroyed. Also, the Cobra effect. So this has happened over and over all throughout history. And here, I'm going to boil this down for you, okay? What does it all mean? Here's what it means. So before you get bent out of shape about this election or any election, let me tell you what happens in reality. The government is really bad at fixing problems. Really bad at it. Like really bad. So before you put all your trust in whoever's in office, just remember the story of the Cobra effect. And the other half of this story is we always take advantage of things that can be manipulated for gain. It's not just the Republicans, my friend. It's not just the Democrats. It's not even those disgusting libertarians. Every fucking person in America.
You guys are pretty dogmatic, I'm not going to lie.
When given the opportunity to manipulate for gain, historically has done it. It has never not happened. I want you to think about this. Well, for starters, most people would go, well, the welfare system.
Is this going to go into why stimulus checks are terrible?
No.
Oh.
Listen to this.
That's related, though.
So right now, have you guys heard that COVID cases are at an all-time high all over the country? Mm-hmm. Okay. We're approaching like 300,000 cases.
Yeah, they said we're approaching wave 3.
Well, we're approaching 300,000 deaths.
Mm-hmm. I've been under the impression that we have not even completed wave 1 yet.
I am too, but I'm saying what I've been.
Oh, okay.
hearing.
Got it.
Hey, for all we know, when you hear this podcast, there won't be COVID anymore. Who knows? But listen, COVID-related deaths, as of right now, as of this airing, are approaching 300,000 deaths. But did you know that 7 million children disappeared in 1987? Did you know that? Do you know why?
Wayfair.
Wrong.
Oh.
Do they get credits for returning them later?
No.
Did somebody turn in dead babies
Listen.
for money?
Listen to this. 7 million children disappeared in 1987 because it was the first year that the IRS required people to list the Social Security numbers of their kids. Up until that point, literally almost every family in America had been making up the names of children to get more money from the government.
Oh, no.
We could have done that?
Listen.
You could have had a fake baby.
7
Crap.
million children disappeared in 1 year because they were forced to prove that they existed. That's not a segment of society. That's most Americans were lying because they could get free shit from the government if they did so.
I wonder how many kids my mom had in 87.
Sorry. Yeah, you might have brothers and fictitious brothers and sisters you don't know.
I don't know about.
But listen, I'm going to wrap this up to tell you. I've been really critical of the government because of the corruption and abuse of power. But it's not just the government that sucks. We suck. The people suck.
Spencer, are you a Calvinist?
And as for you or who you voted for, before you start fighting over it, as this guy was fixing my air conditioner, and he got it running again, it felt nice. And he said, I said, I just don't know what's going to happen. People are fighting like crazy over this election, and they're so divided. And he says, well, Spence, he goes, imagine if we had a secret ballot system where you could go in without telling anybody and cast your vote for whoever you think is best for the job, and you could walk right out, and you don't even have to tell anybody about it. You don't have to tell anybody who you voted for. You can take that little sticker and throw it right in the fucking trash and go on about your life until the next 4 years, and nobody has to fight.
And just be quiet about it.
Nobody has to fight.
Mm-hmm.
He said, do you realize you could just throw that sticker right in the trash?
You mean the participation trophy I've been seeing everybody post online?
Hey, go do the thing.
Hey, look,
It's
I did
important.
the thing.
Yeah.
Look, I have the sticker that tells me, even though I could go to a store and buy a pack of these stickers.
Can you really buy them?
I'm sure you can find them online. Okay. I'm fairly certain you can find fake ones online.
So that's the end of my story about the Cobra effect and how people potentially could handle how they display their choices and how much trust you really should put in the government anyway.
That's all I've wanted forever and a day. Just go vote and then be quiet about it. Unless asked.
You know what? But the thing is, classically, that's how it happened. People didn't talk about who you weren't allowed to ask somebody about their religion, their politics, or their income. You couldn't go up to him and go, hey, man, how much do you make? That was considered rude. Or to go up to him and go, hey, do you believe in God? That was considered rude. And also to go up to him and go, hey, how do you fall politically? Who do you vote for? That was considered rude.
I want to go back to that, where people mind their own business.
That's the whole point of this.
that.
That's the point of this podcast. You could just handle yourself. And here's the thing. All it does is give you reasons. It doesn't change anybody's opinion. People are still going to do what they feel, and they're still going to do it behind closed doors if you won't let them do it out in public. But at least we wouldn't have so many things to fight about. And maybe instead of fighting about things, we would find things to fight for. So,
But that's why they want us fighting. That's exactly why they want us fighting.
I cannot disagree with you.
Let me ask you something. I asked Hunter this earlier when we were in the parking lot waiting for you. So a lot of people have been claiming that if Biden wins, which the numbers are looking, I mean, like you said, no matter, depending on where you look, the numbers are looking good, that he'll probably pull out and then sniff her hair. No. Sorry. I'm sorry. So anyways,
Come on, man.
if Biden wins and there's a blue wave through through Washington.
Now, and remember, by the time people hear this, he may have won.
Right, and there
This
may
may
be a
be
blue. There
So
may
if
be a
Biden
blue
has
wave.
won.
If Biden has won, and there is a blue wave that swept the House, the Senate, and all the other important places that I
Right.
don't care to mention, there's rumors that another shutdown will happen. That the Democrats have been wanting it so bad, anyways, that they'll shut down until the new year. They'll go back to the $600 unemployment checks, and then they'll give us $1,200 to $2,400 stimulus checks every 2 months, and then I know you're shaking your head like
No, I'm just saying what's your question? Do I think it's going to happen?
Do you think that's possible?
I think anything is possible at this point, but I also think that it's all
Because that terrifies me.
I think it's all it's all.
I mean, I
geared
love
towards-
a 3-month vacation, but
Well, I never got one.
I know,
And I
but
won't-
this time you might. This time it might just be grocery stores and gas stations that are open. That's it.
I work at a restaurant. We're considered essential. I'm not going to get a break no matter
Yeah,
what
but
happens.
what Casey's saying is they might
They
actually
might
deem
shut
it
down
not essential.
all restaurants.
I don't think it can be done. I just don't
Sure.
think it'll happen.
Sure, but-
I don't think there's the data to back it up. There's cases. There's not deaths. There's not enough deaths to back
That's
something
also
like that
another
up.
thing that I've
He did
noticed.
say
is
he's going to
that the
lean on
cases-
science.
Whatever. They both claim that they are in possession of science, but the rationale is that honestly, at this point, the only thing that's working out the way anybody said it would is herd immunity. All the other stuff isn't working. All the shutdowns didn't slow it. None of the stuff worked. And you've got a thing here that again, I'm terribly sorry, but they've politicized the virus. If you saw the fucking debates, they were arguing Biden was arguing like Trump created the virus, and Trump was arguing like he had killed the virus single-handedly, and neither one of them are true. Again, sorry to say that if you're a big fan of one of those guys, but the only thing that's actually happened is that a lot of people are getting it. Not that many people are dying from it. Now, I get 300,000 people is a lot, but more people than that die every year from like I've said, from bee stings and falling over. So again, I'm not saying I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
If the virus is a
I just
weapon,
feel like-
hey, you know what? Let me tell you one thing. I talked to a person that studies political science, and I don't know. I'm not going to mention any names. Very smart person that I know, and I was
I
kind
know
of
a lot of smart people.
I do, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky because it makes me sound smart, and I'm not. But I was just like, dude, what do you think? All this division and I feel like if
Blah, blah, blah.
if Trump wins again, there's going to be riots and but again, if
he doesn't
Biden
win,
wins, there
there'll be
might also
riots.
be riots and
Yep.
and he goes, and the guy was super nonchalant, and he just goes, well, man, if you study political science, he goes, the radical left and the radical right only make up about 7% of the voting population. They've been activated this election cycle for a specific reason, and they'll be deactivated just as easily. They'll go away just as fast as they got on TV. And he said it with such calmness that I was like, dude, are you sure? And he goes, yeah, man, it'll be over. You'll see. And I was like, so what do you, he was like, you just got to pay attention to the different levels of society, and historically the way things work. And you just don't, I don't know, man. The people in power do a certain thing, and it's always been that way. And I was just like, wow. So again, I hope your candidate won. But more than that, I hope that you guys don't use it as a weapon against each other. And I don't know. I mean, I had a lot. I tried even posting a couple things this time around, like, hey, man, no matter who your friend votes for, you should still be friends. And a lot of people were like, I can't be friends with somebody that votes for Trump because he's a racist and he doesn't support women's rights and he doesn't. And I was like,
No, that makes sense because they're not friends with their grandparents who were racist because that's the country that they grew up in, right? Sorry, guys.
Bill Burr's monologue.
My bad.
Dude,
Can you believe John Wayne said, I goes, yeah, he was born in 1906. That's how these people sounded.
him talking about white women in that monologue.
Holy shit. It was incredible.
He lit a fire.
They swung their Gucci booted feet over the fence of oppression.
Just started pointing the finger, and he was like, "You guys had the blood money. You stood next to the toxic white males."
Where's the camera? The nerve. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Hope, man, dude. My biggest hope is that whatever happened, things can actually get back to being funny again, like that. Like we can laugh at the differences.
I say February. I'm going to call it. I'm going to make a
Casey,
really
give us your
wide
prediction.
call.
Call it out for us. What's going to happen?
2021, February 2021. We're going to come here. We're going to record an episode and go, man, do you remember 2020? And it's just going to be like, man, once January hit, like everything just stopped being shitty and just became awesome again.
God, I hope you're right. I so hope you're right.
Hey, Godzilla vs. Kong in May.
So, hey, man, I want to say one thing. I did see a thing today scrolling through social media, which I know, again, you shouldn't. But sometimes I follow like inspirational accounts and stuff that's not just all doom and gloom, and sometimes you get a little nugget of wisdom or something. But I was scrolling and one of them said, you know what? When this is all over, we might find out that 2020 wasn't the worst year of our life. In fact, we overcame challenges. We faced very scary things. We were under a tremendous amount of media manipulation, and we still managed to like survive and hopefully, and like maybe turn out it's one of the better years in terms of our growth. Like a lot of people might have like been challenged and overcome some stuff this year, including depression. And, there's all these things. There's so much depression that goes along with the pandemic. And now they're saying daylight savings time is going to increase that. And there's just a lot. So I think, maybe people are stronger than they think. And it's just frustrating to see all this bullshit,
I think I would like to think that. I think the news would have different footage to show for it. I would love to find out that the news, some of the footage used on Facebook and social media, which I think some of it was old footage.
And
they just like
they've seen some of the thing in Kentucky that they shot like a arms demonstration, and it was filmed as if it was a war going on or something in Syria, and it was just like these guys in Kentucky blowing shit up.
I do know that there was one video going around on Facebook where this guy was like, his business got burnt down. He's like, come on, man. Like, I didn't do anything. And everyone's like, look, this is awful. Look what the radical left is doing with their protests. And it was just like, hey, that's from the Rodney King riots, 1992. I don't know if you know this or not, but that's not today.
Yeah.
I know it's similar, but that's no.
Well, dude, if we have to go out on a note, I kind of would like to go out on, again, the thing you said about heal the community.
Yeah.
Like, if you pray. If you're not the religious type, at least try to heal your community.
Also, I recommend everybody doing what I'm going to do this week, and maybe further on after that, social media fast.
Yep.
Delete all your social media for the week, during the week of the election. That way you don't have to... You can watch the news, make your own opinions, and talk to your friends, but you don't have to go on Facebook.
I'll tell you something. Spoiler, we're recording this the night after Halloween.
Yeah.
And I went out, again, thanks to anybody that stopped by Central Depot and whatever, but like I ran into some friends last night, and just from being on social media, I know that they have different opinions than I do, sometimes dogmatically so.
Right.
But when you see them in public, we were all like smiles and hugs and so
I wonder what would happen if you just deleted your Facebook and you didn't see their posts, and so you didn't know they had different opinions, and you guys just hung out and had a good time without having that in the back of your head.
I did that, and it's amazing.
See, to me, their opinions don't bother me.
Also that, but
like, because I know when I see them, we're hugging, regardless of how they feel or how I feel. And I'm lucky enough to have a lot of friends where we appreciate our differences. Like I said, my friend Lucas, who sat down, and he knows I'm a libertarian, and he goes, you would have been a Whig. And, he was like playing like a classic revolutionary Democrat, like Paul Revere and stuff. Yeah. But maybe consider that if you're not going to delete your social media, just all these opinions you're seeing, like when you meet people face to face, there's a lot more love than there is on Facebook or wherever you're seeing these angry things, so maybe don't hate your friends just because they say something this week on Facebook, and maybe try to understand how frustration makes people act, and just love each other, man.
Yeah,
I know that's such a generic fucking thing to say, like everybody says it, but like please do. at some point, that's the only way we're getting out of this year, I think.
Right, because if you live in an echo chamber, you commit intellectual suicide.
It's true.
So, here's to the next 4 years, boys.
Yep.
God, whatever it is. At least,
I cannot believe
let's at least
that
not
he
fight
won.
till the end of it.
Can you believe that?
Who won?
That he won.
Oh!
I can't believe he won.
I can't believe he won either.
Oh, my God.
That's insane.
Can you believe he won? I mean, a lot of people
can't-
thought he was going to win.
A lot of people did think
Well,
he
I
was
mean,
going to win.
it looked like it was balanced almost both ways, depending on which news channel you watch. But
And all the blue and red that you saw,
yeah,
and the white.
goodness gracious.
We should have opened the episode this way. I might cut this and put it at the beginning. Can you believe he won? I can't believe he won.
So let's talk about hookers.
Oh my.